I chose this road, this path, my path. People ask, where are you going? Do you know what you're going to do? There are so many different directions I could take. Now I'm supposed to choose one? I am confident. I am curious. I am ready to figure out who I am. I'm on a mysterious journey into the unknown for the first time in my life. I will explore all of its twists and turns, its side trips, its surprises. Because this road leads to me. I am ready.
Juanita, coffee's ready. Juniata, coffee's up. Medium coffee for Juniata.
It is Juniata. Juniata.
Juanita, coffee for Juanita.
Juniata. Juniata.
Well, hello, and welcome to Juniata College. My name is Jason Moran. I'm Vice President for Enrollment, and I'm joined by Juniata's President, Dr. Jim Troha. With much gratitude, thank you for tuning in to our virtual recruitment experience. We know all of you viewing were planning to join us on campus for our actual open house, but as precautionary measures related to the coronavirus, we have decided to run this virtual event. With good fortune, ability to say that we have no cases on our campus, but we have taken precautionary measures, which Dr. Troha can give you an update on current state of affairs. And then I'm going to ask him to transition to providing insights linked to the reason of why you're joining us today. The experience you're going to go through is going to set you up to take a virtual tour of campus. We will have information sessions academically, co-curricularly, admissions, financial aid that are available for you. And hopefully the outcome of this will further answer why Juniata College, and furthermore entice you to want to come and visit us when we do resume campus visits. So without any further ado, I'm going to pass it off to President Troha to provide some insights, not just as a president, but he's also the father of a soon-to-be college graduate, also a father of a soon-to-be college-going student, and also a daughter who is just starting the college search. So parents, he's well-versed on the college experience because he has his own experience as a parent. But I pass it off to Dr. Troha.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. I just want to acknowledge that these are unusual times that call for unusual measures, and I have to honestly think about, in my 26, 27-year career, whether or not I have done anything quite like this, and I think the answer is no, where we've done something virtually for an open house like this. So these are extraordinary times that call for extraordinary measures, and I just want to say thank you, as Jason did, to all of you for tuning in and joining us for this format. Obviously, we are reacting to COVID-19 like much of the world right now. We are trying to understand what needs to be communicated and how we are going to be supporting our faculty, staff, and students moving forward. The lens by which we have viewed everything has been the health and safety of our community here. And we have made decisions with that in mind. Most recently last week, we moved to online instruction until the first weekend in April. Just yesterday, we informed our staff to begin working from home, and we will be communicating with our folks later today with some additional information about how we are going to carry on for the rest of the semester. As Jason mentioned, we have no known cases here at the college, no known cases here in Huntington County, but if you listen to the experts, it's just a matter of time, but we are taking all the necessary precautions, hence this format today. As Jason mentioned, yes, I do have a graduating student. She is here at Juniata, and she will be finishing her coursework in May. And my son is looking at colleges right now, and my daughter is a junior in high school, will be beginning that college search this summer. A lot of questions I know that many of you have about college choice. And I think through this session, but also the sessions that you hopefully will be engaged in through this virtual class, you'll get a chance to see and hear about how Juniata might meet your needs. I just want to say up front that as I shared with a very large group of people a couple weekends ago in Pittsburgh, that this is an exciting time at Juniata. We've got a lot going on that is very positive, including at a time when enrollment is shrinking across the country in many college universities. We exceeded our enrollment target this past year. We exceeded our selectivity target this past year, and we intend to do that this year as well. Obviously, with everything that's happening in our world, it's going to be a little bit harder, and we want to be sensitive to that. We're having conversations about the May 1 deadline and possibly moving that back, having conversations with our families about all of that. But I want all of you to know that there's a lot going on here at Juniata to be excited about, and a lot of it is emerging in the form of rankings, and maybe Jason and others will talk about some of that in some other sessions, but I want to point out that Juniata, we have moved up 24 places in U.S. News and World Report in the past 2 years. going from 106 to 86 to 82 this past year. We moved up 175 places in Money Magazine that looks at affordability, outcomes, and quality. We are considered one of the 12th best in the country relative to study abroad programs. There's a lot of good things happening here at the institution that we would like for you to be a part of, parents and students. The other thing I just want to mention is that we are at the tail end of our campaign. It's called the Believe campaign. The original goal was $100 million, and that money is going to be focused on 3 prime areas of the college that our students that are coming this fall will experience to a great degree. That is to support the affordability of the Juniata educational experience, to support the infrastructure here, our campus community, make sure our residence halls, our academic buildings, our dining facilities, our recreational centers are all contemporary and relevant to today's students' need. And then finally, to support faculty academic excellence. So to support the people that are in front of you every single day, delivering the kind of experience that you deserve and certainly expect out of Juniata. That campaign has exceeded our original target. We moved the target from 100 million to 115 million, and we are approaching that target a little bit ahead of schedule. And the reason I bring this up, students and families, is that you are going to be recipients of this campaign. It has been ongoing for the last 5.5, close to 6 years now. A lot of those resources are coming to bear now, including new facilities, including a renovated library. The Board of Trustees will be talking in April about pulling the trigger on getting this new facility started, hopefully this summer. And so by the sophomore year, for the freshmen that are entering in, that library will be fully complete. We're not tearing down the building. It will be a renovation and addition to Beagley Library. That's a really exciting project in the neighborhood of about $11.5 million. So in a nutshell, Jason, I just want to say thank you for joining in. Thank you for being part of this very unusual time and circumstances, but we hope you are able to stay connected with us, stay engaged with your admission counselor, stay engaged with the enrollment office as we all work through what is facing our country right now.
Excellent. Thank you, Jim. And so as you go forward with your experience, you have sessions that you'll be able to opt in and view. And again, our hope is that you're going to be enticed to want to and see the greatness that is Juniata College. And I love that Dr. Troha touched on our rankings, but not for the sake of touching on our rankings, but because of the story that it tells and the story that it represents, our quality in our academic education that we offer to our students, our retention, our graduation rates, our student outcomes, all of which is important in your college search. And students and families, as you go forward, look at affordability, not just the advertised price on a financial website, but the net cost. And that's where Juniata College has been recognized for the affordability that it creates for students, no matter where they are or where they're coming from. Also, we really hope that you're going to come not only just to see Juniata College, but also the Huntington community. Our location is one of our greatest assets for Juniata students because it sets them up with the opportunities to have an experience to engage in taking their academic experience and connecting to rural challenges, being a part of solving problems, 21st century challenges that communities around the world face, but also close proximity to an urban experience. 2 hours from Pittsburgh, 2.5 hours from Philadelphia, 3 to 3.5 hours from New York City or Washington, D.C. And we have a rail line that comes right through Huntington that connects us to Pittsburgh, runs through Harrisburg out to Philadelphia and up to New York. So transportation is not an issue. And again, our students are connected, but have that luxury of being able to apply their academic experience, their co-curricular experience in a rural location, but also with close proximity to a urban location. So you got to come and see Juniata for itself. We'll be notifying all of our students, no matter at what stage they are in their recruitment process, of when our visits will resume. But we hope you enjoy the experience that you'll go through today. And if questions come up, you will have information that will be provided on how to get those questions answered. So enjoy the experience. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see you on campus. Thanks so much.
How can a college become a part of you? it's just school, right? Yet in this quiet, powerful place, it's different. It's like you feel it in your gut. The sense of the possible. Every day, I feel my purpose. My friendships here. This energy. It's all of us working together to change this beautiful mess of a world. I've learned so much already. I wonder, what's next? It gets into your being, this place. I know I will take it with me, wherever I go. This is not just school. This is Juniata.
I'm Lauren Bowen. I serve as the Provost or Senior Academic Officer at Juniata College, and it's a real pleasure and privilege to welcome you to this virtual open house. Later today, you'll have the opportunity to meet with some of the phenomenal faculty who work at Juniata and who are committed deeply to educating students for the contemporary moment in which we find ourselves living. When I think about what makes Juniata distinctive and special, and I think about the ways in which our faculty teach, I'm reminded of what we consider to be the fundamental attributes of all Juniata graduates. We're committed certainly to providing you with the kinds of knowledge and skills that'll help you solve problems in the world and will prepare you for life after college. We believe in interdisciplinarity, or in other words, helping you connect to the different ways we know things so that you will be active citizens of the world. And to do that, we will encourage you to reflect on who you are and who you want to be. We will do so in a way that gives you opportunities to be engaged with your community and engaged with your world, so that finally you'll be able to think a little bit about the kinds of choices and decisions you want to make and what it means for you to live a life of meaning. I would say that all of this is possible at Juniata because of the faculty and the students and all the folks who are so deeply committed to success for every Juniata student. When I think about what makes Juniata students distinctive, I'm reminded that Juniata is a place where students can take some chances, take some risks, admit what they don't yet know, and be willing and eager to learn new things. That's the spirit here, that's the environment here. And so the three really distinctive hallmarks of Juniata culture from my point of view, and what I say to students, it's a place where you can ask questions, a place where you can be curious, and mostly a place where you can have fun. I wish you all the best as you explore Juniata with all the fine folks who work here. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the virtual open house academic panel. We have a variety of participants to introduce you to academics at Juniata College and talk to you about the educational experience that you can expect here. Each one of them will introduce themselves before they talk. I'm Dr. Phil Dunwoody. I'm in the psychology department, and I'm also director of general education. So the first thing we're going to cover is the overall curriculum at Juniata, give you a big picture overview. And then each of the panelists is going to address different components. So we have someone talking about social sciences, health professions, natural sciences, international education, as well as humanities and arts. So the overall Juniata curriculum is really focused on this idea of interdisciplinary problem solving. Right? The problems we face in the world today are interdisciplinary. And if you're going to be effective in the world in dealing with anything today, you really need to understand what your particular expertise is, what you bring to the table, as well as what your colleague can bring to the table, what people in other fields bring to the table, right? So COVID-19, the crisis we're currently dealing with, is an excellent example of that. You have epidemiologists talking about this. You have people in the CDC who are behavioral scientists, because diseases are essentially spread through behaviors. You have virologists working on the problem, right? So you have a host of different people from different disciplines trying to solve a common problem. And that really characterizes a lot of kind of how we view education at Juniata. So we're going to challenge you to really think about who you are in a lot of different ways, right? From a variety of different perspectives. So to give you a quick overview of the curriculum, at Juniata, you need 120 credits to graduate. And these are divided up into 3 different categories, right? So the first is the interdisciplinary curriculum, and I'm going to talk about that. And this is the part that students essentially share in common. The second part is the program of emphasis. We often refer to it as a POE. You will hear this referred to at other schools as a major or a concentration. At Juniata, we have both individualized and designated POEs. Right, so an individualized is a design your own POE. About a third of our students actually design their own program of emphasis. And it's a really wonderful way to emphasize that interdisciplinary component. Right, so for example, we've had a lot of students do biopsychology because they were interested in the intersection of psychology and biology. And then the third component is really free electives. So depending on how many credits are in your program of emphasis and how they overlap with the interdisciplinary curriculum, you'll have somewhere between 17 and 46 of your credits free to explore interesting, fun things, just to be liberally educated. So the interdisciplinary curriculum. So the first component is the first year experience. And so both semesters at Juniata, you will have courses that really help you adjust to Juniata and help you be successful here, right? So we have first year composition and first year seminar, which go over the fall and spring semesters, as well as foundation. And these courses actually have a variety of different themes that you get to choose based on your interests, right? So some of the titles include questioning authority, deconstructing Disney, human rights, mindfulness, pirates in the making of the Caribbean world. I mean, so you can really kind of tailor this first year experience based on subjects that you're interested in. The second category of the curriculum is self in the world. And this has to do a lot with what we think about as the traditional role of a liberal arts college, right? What are your responsibilities as a citizen, right? What does it mean to have an ethical duty? Understanding different groups and their experience historically in the US, as well as being engaged in your local community and the global community, right? The third part is ways of knowing. And this really gets at the question of how do we know what we know about the world, right? So there's a scientific way of knowing the world, right? But there's also reading a novel or watching a play or understanding kind of the historical trends that have led to where we are. So we have you take classes in different ways of knowing. And just like the first year experience, the self in the world, ways of knowing, you get to pick a course topic that interests you, but it will address this basic question of how do we know what we know? And then the last part of the interdisciplinary curriculum is what we call connections. This is a team taught course by 2 different faculty members in different departments that address a common topic. So one of the courses we have is global climate change. We have someone in the politics department. The team teaches this with someone in geology. So we have someone covering what we know about climate science, as well as the policy issues around climate change, right? So this is what we mean when we talk about interdisciplinary problem solving. Any given topic has a variety of different disciplinary lenses that you can look at it through.
Hello, I'm Dr. Ramakrishnan, and I'm a professor of environmental science and studies. I'll be talking about the natural sciences at Juniata. What stands out about the natural sciences is the level of hands-on opportunities and world-class academics that we provide our students. This applied approach attracts amazing students. They have life-changing experiences. The natural sciences include biology, chemistry, physics, math, geology, computer science, and environmental science. Since I'm from the Environmental Science and Studies department, I will give you some examples from what I've done, and the outcomes are similar in all of the other natural sciences. Every summer, I have 2 to 4 fully funded research students. So in the slide in front of you, the 2 students on the kayak, they were my summer interns. Stevie Kitching and Emily Nye. They were supported through a grant from the Little Juniata River Association. The goal of the research was to document movement of ground trout in the Little Juniata River. The bulk of the research is actually done by students during the regular semester. So my capstone students were trained to surgically implant transmitters into fish. This training was done in collaboration with the Fish and Boat Commission, and the summer research was done by rising seniors. Stevie is now an environmental educator, and Emily is a graduate student in Chatham University. We frequently give students the opportunity to work with other professionals in the discipline. So in the second photograph, our student, Amber Evans, is working with the Game Commission, the Pennsylvania Game Commission, to tag Canada geese. This experience was actually integrated into one of the classes that we offer at the Raystown Field Station. Now again, Amber is now in a fully funded graduate program. A lot of our students get this immersive field experience at the Raystown Field Station. These experiences are typical of all of the sciences. For example, the physics department is working on a new method to detect methane leaks in natural gas pipelines. They collaborate with other companies in the project, and it involves working with students, these external companies, and faculty members in the physics department, and they design a program that would allow them to use methane detectors attached to drones. There are similar ideas in every discipline. We focus on students getting skills and experiences that would make them competitive when they graduate. Students have the opportunity of exploring different disciplines. They can design their own program. We work with students to help develop their resume, and this is something we start from the very first year. So to encourage students to learn about opportunities in the discipline, we require them to do a job search and internship search, and this is integrated into a class. This forces students to look at what employers are asking for, and this would help students decide what classes to take and what kind of experiences they need to be competitive when they graduate. So most of our students get multiple summer internships before they graduate, and this again helps them in the job market. So whether you see yourself going in for a PhD or going into the industry or working for the government, Juniata faculty will help you get there. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jim Tootin. I'm a professor in the history department. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the arts and humanities at Juniata College. So I want to focus ultimately on three themes, which you can see on the slide, and I will address those. But first, I should just perhaps remind us all which departments, which disciplines are typically represented in the humanities. So at Juniata, those include English, philosophy, religious studies, languages, world languages and literatures, and the history department, art history, and then in the arts, we have, of course, music, theater, and applied arts, or which includes sort of drawing, painting, photography, and ceramics. So let's say a little bit about what these three themes represent and why I chose them. I think they capture, in a way, big picture ideas that we employ in the humanities, but also broadly at Juniata. So first, I would say, is that we often work collaboratively. Of course, to put together a play, to put together a musical performance with our orchestra, with our concert choir, with the jazz ensemble, that requires collaborative effort all the way through the process. But we also employ collaborative effort when we learn a second language or acquire a new language. We're doing it in a group, in conversation with one another. Many of our courses, in fact, a great many of our courses in the humanities department are in the seminar style, which means conversation, discussion, debate, are an essential part of what we are doing. We're also developmental. So for developmental, I chose an example of a student that pops to mind. That's Russell. Russell is from California. In fact, he's back in California now. He had never spent much time on the eastern part of the country. So for him, coming to study at Juniata in the humanities was an opportunity to experience life in this part of the nation. So in this case, he was out at the field station, something Dr. Ramakrishnan mentioned earlier, one of the Saturdays in the late winter, early spring, when we were making maple syrup. It was a Saturday morning. You don't have to be up and learning on a Saturday morning, but this is about fun, it's about getting outside, and it's about adding kind of the experiential dimensions to your development. And I knew part of what his desire was to experience life in the Eastern US, things he couldn't do in California. So we made sure that he got this opportunity. We try to make it personal. And of course, the developmental and the personal go together. Because we often know our students very well, we know what trajectories they might want to pursue. We can tailor suggestions about internships, summer opportunities, class offerings. So I use down below an example of 3 senior thesis students that I worked with a few years ago. That photo is from our liberal arts symposium, which is a big event that happens in the spring each year when Juniata students present their capstone research to one another. So I'll start Daisy, who is from Texas, did her research on the history of immigration law in the 20th century in the United States. She now works in the field of immigration back in Texas. Emily, in the middle, is from Pennsylvania. Emily has worked on a number of different things, also worked on the 20th century, and is now works in New York City, something which she's particularly enjoying. Kaylee, the third person, also a California native, figured out early on that she had an interest long-term in being involved in fundraising, or what's often called development in the nonprofit sector. So we were able to tailor internships for her, including one at the USS Midway out on the West Coast, and other opportunities. And she's now a professional in that field, having only been out of college less than 2 years. So by knowing them personally, we can tailor research opportunities, internship opportunities. We can stage their development over multiple years. And in the end, our goal is that they reach their goals. So that's a big part of what we're about in the arts and humanities.
Okay, so this is Dr. Phil Dunwoody again. I'm in the psychology department, right, which is a traditional social science, but social science actually includes a whole bunch of different areas, business, economics, politics to some extent, sociology, education, communications. These are all examples, and there are more. Similar to what Professor Tootin was saying, as well as the other people you're going to hear from, right? We really emphasize this experiential learning. So almost all of our students do some type of internship or research experience in the social sciences. I had a student doing research with me last year on the topic of political psychology. She graduated last year and actually moved to Boulder, Colorado, and now has a job working in data sciences, right? So there's a lot of different things you can do in social sciences. We have kind of excellent placement in both professional job placement as well as graduate programs. Juniata itself has a number of graduate programs that you might be interested in. The nice thing is many of these are 5-year programs that you get 2 degrees. So you get your bachelor's degree and your master's degree, right? We have a master's of business administration, organizational leadership, data sciences, bioinformatics, and accounting.
So I'm Jim Bogart, and I'm in charge of the health profession program right now. I'm also in the Department of Physics, and I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes about the health professions program at Juniata. So the core of our health professions program is the student. And to support the student, we have a health professions committee that's dedicated to the student's success. And we view this support through 4 pillars: advising, academics, alumni relations, and experiential learning. So we support students through each of these 4 pillars in unique ways. Through advising, every student in the health professions program, whether they're pre-dentistry, pre-med, pre-optometry, physical therapy, whatever area of health professions they're in, they have an advisor who's experienced with the nuances in that particular area and can help them through their coursework and planning their 4 years before they matriculate into a professional school. We also, in terms of academics, meet with the students to look at benchmarks and make sure that they're hitting the GPA guidelines they need to. And if there's any challenges, work with them proactively to make them make resources available to them to help understand what might be the challenge that they're having in their learning experience. I'll add on to what Dr. Dunwoody said earlier about some of the unique courses we have that have an interdisciplinary nature. So in academics, there's a lot of courses that deal with things that pre-health students might be interested in, but that aren't in a biology or chemistry or physics department. So for instance, there's a historian who teaches a class that's called medieval medicine, which is a really interesting look at how medicine was practiced back in the Middle Ages. We also have a course in the English department, which is called Beyond Gray's Anatomy, which looks at how you message public health crises. So that clearly has implications for our current situation right now as well. So those are just 2 courses, but there's about 10 to 15 courses that kind of fit under that purview that might be interesting to students. In terms of alumni, in academics as well, to talk about the program of emphasis, one of the unique things about Juniata is that you don't have to major in biology. I think a lot of pre-health students come in thinking they have to major in biology, but there's a lot of students, because of the individualized POE, let's say you had an interest in biology and also in psychology. You could create an individualized POE in either neuroscience or biopsychology or some amalgam of the 2. We also have students who major in Spanish and get into med school successfully. So you can really expand your view of what you think might be helpful in making you a better doctor and developing that interdisciplinary toolbox. In terms of alumni, we have a lot of networking, clinical exposure opportunities. We just had 2 alums come last week and took 3 days of their own personal time off to dedicate to our students and gave a 3-day workshop in which they worked with juniors who are in the current application cycle to work on their personal statement, their interviews, a whole slew of different things associated with the application process. In terms of experiential learning, that's not just limited to shadowing. We often will set students up with health professionals in the area, but it also extends to things that you might not normally consider in that view. And I think that's one of the unique things about our program. For instance, we have a healthcare navigator course where students are paired with a patient in the healthcare system who's trying to undergo care for some condition. And the student will help the patient kind of navigate that system, find out what impediments a patient has in accessing the healthcare that they should get. So we all know that there's a big socioeconomic input into the level of care that you get and how well you can advocate for yourself. So going through that experience as a student, then becoming a physician or a dentist or whatever area you go into, but knowing the challenges that your patients will have in accessing the healthcare that you're providing provides a really unique perspective in being the most effective healthcare professional you can be. In terms of our placement rates, we're extremely proud of how we do through this kind of intensive system we have paired with the Health Professions Committee. The average rate across the nation for students applying to health professional schools is about 45%. And our historical average across time is 90%, so about twice the national average. And we think this is directly attributable not only to the quality of the students that we get, but also the close relationship they have with their advisor in the Health Professions Committee. We do provide support even after a student graduates. That's another, I think, fairly unique thing about our program. Over 44% of students now take a gap year or even 2 gap years. It's becoming more and more the norm. And we provide student support in terms of writing letters of support for them, committee letters, advising, and all these other things I mentioned beyond their time at Juniata as well. So in that way, we are always working to help students individually meet their goals. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Kati Chuma, and I'm Dean of International Education. Juniata's commitment to global education is important and long-standing. Global education is integral to Juniata's mission to provide an engaging, personalized educational experience, empowering our students to develop the skills, knowledge, and values that lead to a fulfilling life of service and ethical leadership in the global community. Themes related to global engagement and intercultural learning are not only found in Juniata's mission, but are woven throughout the educational experience of students and are supported by the principles of a liberal arts lifestyle as articulated by the students themselves in 2006. And those include themes such as being a citizen of the world, who seeks opportunities to serve and who questions the assumptions and truths presented in life. The 2016 institutional learning outcomes include engagement with self and the world, and the newly implemented general education curriculum has a global engagement requirement. Next slide, please. Providing opportunities for students to engage with others of diverse backgrounds will enable them to gain a respect for multiple cultural traditions and human diversity, and to develop skills to work collaboratively in local and global settings. Juniata students can develop these skills through on-campus intercultural learning opportunities, such as language study, courses with international themes in almost every department, co-curricular opportunities such as the Global Village, cultural clubs and events, and Language in Motion. And Juniata has offered study abroad opportunities around the world for 4 decades that are directly linked to their programs of study, and we work very hard to make them affordable. Surveys show that among the skills most desired by 21st century employers are communication skills, confidence, curiosity, flexibility, adaptability, intercultural skills, interpersonal skills, language skills, problem-solving skills, self-awareness, teamwork, and tolerance for ambiguity. We know that the many intercultural learning skills that students develop during their time at Juniata position them for success in their careers and their lives.
Hi, everyone. Jim Bogart again with the Health Professions Program. And before I hand it back to Phil Dunwoody to kind of provide a concluding remark on our time together today, I wanted to kind of look at the Juniata experience holistically. As you look at and consider different colleges during and particularly this challenging time as a student, you might ask, what does Juniata offer to me? What about Juniata resonates with who I am and who I want to become? I think that underlying all the professors and staff you heard today are the ideas of community and interdisciplinarity and commitment to our students. And that's why we've made an intentful decision to devote 2 faculty advisors to each student here. It provides an added perspective. So for instance, if I was an ESS student, environmental science student, with Dr. Ramakrishnan, a wildlife biologist, as one advisor, and I had Dr. Dunwoody in psychology as my second advisor, I can get a unique and different disciplinary perspective in terms of what classes align with my areas of interest and how certain classes might broaden my perspective and help me grow personally and academically. In terms of academics, there are unique challenges and opportunities and freedoms that you have through the program of emphasis, or what we call POE. Most colleges have traditional majors, and as I mentioned earlier in talking about the health professions program, you don't have to be a biology major to become a healthcare professional. You could have a POE in Spanish, or if you have strong interest in multiple fields, you can combine them. Some of the most unique and successful students I think that I've had over my years at Juniata in the physics department are students who coupled their interest in physics with fine arts using that POE system. And it really provides a great way to tether together just what some people might think is disparate fields, but have really strong commonalities if you go into it at a deeper level. One of the stories I always tell on this front is about Tom Hoover, who's an alum from the physics department from back in the 60s. who invented the Hemi engine that you always see on auto advertisements on TV. He always came and talked to our students, and he'd invariably get asked in the question and answer session, Dr. Hoover, what class provided the best opportunities that you had at Chrysler? What let you move up the ladder? Thinking he'd answer talking about a physics class or a math course. And Tom would always look at students and answer that it was his college creative writing course, that he wasn't really any better of an engineer than others at Chrysler, but that he could articulate his ideas better than the other engineers in his presentations, his proposals, and his reports. And that's what gave him the opportunities in life that he enjoyed and took advantage of. And I think your experience in life will demand of you a broad, robust, and interdisciplinary skill set to succeed up to the level of your potential. And I think that Juniata faculty and staff and our curricular philosophy that's been articulated by Dr. Dunwoody at the outset are designed to offer that type of perspective to help you achieve all your goals. So I'd like to thank you for spending some of your Saturday afternoon with us, and I hope to see you on campus in the years ahead, and I'll hand it back over to Dr. Dunwoody for a concluding remark.
I just want to echo what everyone said a little bit. I want to thank you for spending some time with us. At Juniata, we're going to ask you to think about who you are, and not just at not at a surface level, right? To really dig into that question, who do you want to be, right? Who do you want to be professionally? What do you want your values to be? How are those things connected? And how are you connected to the communities that you're engaged in, both locally and globally? You're going to have a lot of experiential learning opportunities at Juniata, no matter what POE you choose. You will be doing internships, you'll be doing research experiences, you'll be doing hands-on things that let you know that the path you're choosing is really a good fit for you. And you'll really learn to view the world through this kind of interdisciplinary lens, to both understand yourself, others, and the problems we grapple with through a variety of interdisciplinary lenses. And this is really what it means to be liberal arts and well-rounded. And so I want to thank you for coming. Feel free to reach out to us individually through email, and we look forward to seeing you at Juniata.
Hi, my name is Claire. I'm a sophomore and my program of emphasis is multimedia journalism.
Hi, and I'm Vinny, a Juniata senior studying graphic communication.
And today we are going to be taking you on a campus tour of our beautiful Juniata College campus.
Let's start with our Juniata Quad, located in the heart of campus. Students play outdoor games such as frisbee and volleyball, as well as lounge around, do homework, and soak up the sun. At the end of your 4 years at Juniata, this is where you'll also graduate. Juniata traditions, such as Lobster Fest, Homecoming and Family Weekend, and Storming of the Arch are held here. That brings us to one of our most notorious locations on campus, the Cloister Arch. This is where the Juniata tradition Storming of the Arch is held, and it's also known as one of our most historic residence halls.
One of Juniata's most iconic academic buildings is Founders Hall. This is our oldest building on campus, built in 1876.
It's been expanded and refurbished since then, and it's the home of our history and English departments, along with our Quest office. Here, you can get a tutor and help with finding jobs and internships, among other things. The Registrar's Office, the Dean of Students, and the Provost and Presidential Suite also live in Founders Hall.
Right behind me is Good Hall. It's home to psychology, sociology, religious studies, philosophy, education, and economics. As you can see by our small classrooms, the class size for first-year students caps at 25, and our student-to-faculty ratio is 12:1. Each student's relationship with their advisor is prioritized. All students have a mentor and an advisor to help with their college journey. The first floor of Good Hall is for the International Studies program of emphasis. 50% of Juniata students study abroad, and we have connections in 20 countries and 6 continents. For those students and for our large international student population, The Center for International Education is located in the Aller Center. Next door is the World Language Building and the Museum of Art.
The Von Liebig Center for Sciences, also known as VLB, is the home to our largest classroom on campus, Neff Lecture Hall. It's also the home to the Biology and Chemistry department.
Here, Jitter's Coffee Shop is perfect to grab breakfast, lunch, or a cup of coffee before class.
Right behind me is Lesher Hall, an all-female residence hall and just one of many housing options here on campus. There are options for living on and off campus. However, you are guaranteed housing for all 4 years. You can have 1, 2, 3, to 7 roommates depending on where you decide to live. If you would like to live with people who speak your primary language or are interested in cultural immersion, you can also choose to live in the Global Village, where we have 4 floors of language options such as Spanish, French, Chinese, and German.
This is Ella's Hall, home of Juniata's Dining Hall, Baker Refectory. They serve a large variety of food options.
On the second floor, there is a study lounge area called Eagles Landing, which is open 24 hours a day. Ellis's basement is home to our post office and campus store. Ellis Hall is also home to many campus resources, including The Spot, which is where you can go if you need support, someone to talk to, or hang out and get some candy.
Our next building is Kennedy Sports and Recreation Center. Juniata is an NCAA Division III school with a variety of men's and women's sports teams, but you don't have to be an athlete to use Kennedy. This is our indoor pool, where free swim is offered every day, and when the swim team isn't using it, we even do pool movie nights. This is the fitness center, which is open every day. Kennedy is home to the Memorial Gymnasium, where Juniata's volleyball and basketball teams compete. It also has a gym for intramural sports.
Welcome to Knox Stadium. This is where football, track and field, and field hockey compete.
Next door, we have the Langdon Gooddale baseball field and the West End softball field.
And this is Gibble Stadium, where Juniata's soccer and lacrosse teams compete. It's right next to the Raffensperger and Broomball tennis courts.
Back on the quad, this is the Hallbretter Center of the Performing Arts, which houses Juniata's theater department and performing arts series Juniata Presents,
which brings world-renowned performers for the Juniata and local community to enjoy. The auditorium seats 850 and features highly rated acoustics and modern lighting and sound equipment. Hallbretter is also home to a dance and movement studio, a green room, dressing rooms, and a gallery space.
Our next stop on tour is the Beagley Library, which is the central hub for research and studying on campus. This building is home to the Writing Center, group and quiet study areas, as well as food options. Around the corner is the Unity House, which holds campus ministry, as well as the Office of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion.
Down the street, here is Keppel Hall, one of our newest buildings on campus. Here is the home of the Integrated Media and Studio Arts program.
There are studio spaces for video production, painting, 3D printing, photography, and more. This building is conveniently located next to 3 of our residence halls connected by the North Lawn.
Our last stop on tour is the Broomball Academic Center. This building houses Alumni Hall, which hosts small concerts and large lectures. Here, you can also find the Technology Solutions Center, which offers technical assistance for computer and software issues, as well as renting out everything from computers to video equipment. Communication, computer science, business, physics, geology, and environmental science departments all have classes in this building.
Speaking of our environmental science program, 30 minutes from campus, Juniata students can live and learn at the Racetown Field Station, an environmental research and education center. The Racetown Field Station offers semester-long opportunities for environmental science students to immerse themselves in this beautiful region while conducting hands-on research and classwork.
That's all for our tour of Juniata.
Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you on campus real soon.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our student panel part of our virtual open house. To reintroduce myself, I'm Jason Moran, Vice President for Enrollment, and I'm really privileged today to have some students that are here in the local area that are able to join and participate in this experience, so that way we can give a student perspective to those who are tuning in to this open house experience today. As mentioned during the welcome comments, while we are adhering to recommendations from the CDC with COVID-19. This virtual experience is what we are providing for all of you, and what we have is some students here locally while we are completely trying to adhere to social distancing that want to share their story and their Juniata experience. We've currently have our students back in their home locations. We've got faculty and staff that are working remotely, but really glad to be able to say that currently we do not have any known COVID-19 cases in Huntington or on the campus of Juniata College. So again, just adhering to recommendations and definitely putting forth the safety and health and well-being of our students, faculty, and staff. So with that said, we're going to go into our panel discussion here. We're going to get the opportunity to hear from our students who are going to share just their academic, social, lived experience here at Juniata College, maybe hear from them why they chose Juniata. So with that, why don't we share with our audience who we are, what we're studying, and where we're from. And McKinley, why don't you kick us off?
Hi, I'm McKinley. I'm studying general science and secondary education, and I'm from Huntington, Pennsylvania.
Hello, my name's Hudson Speck. I'm a senior. I studied accounting, and I have a secondary emphasis in information technology, and I'm also from Huntington.
I'm Madison Troha. I am also a senior from Huntington, Pennsylvania. I'm studying organizational communication and leadership.
I'm Tanvi Pandey. I'm studying engineering physics with a secondary emphasis in mathematics, and I'm a senior too, and I'm from India.
Excellent. So thank you all for joining in, and to get right into our discussion, I'd like to first talk about academics, academic support, what students that choose to enroll in Juniata can expect, and even what makes Juniata different as you all were going through your college search and why you chose Juniata versus other places. Academically, what was it that was so appealing and made Juniata stand out? So, McKinley, why don't you start us off on this topic?
Okay, so Juniata, like we have POE, so Program of Emphasis. That's what I really liked about Juniata, so I had a lot of flexibility of what I wanted to do. So I came in, focused just on chemistry, and then after my first semester, I was like, that's not really what I want to do. So then it was chemistry and secondary education, and again, I wasn't set on just chemistry. I wanted to focus on more sciences, so then it switched to general science and secondary education for my POE, which I liked that, so then I can study more sciences as well as education. So at Juniata, you can take multiple classes and fill them into your POE so you can explore different areas and just be more know different areas and different subjects.
Yeah, more well-rounded.
Well-rounded students.
Yeah, I would agree. You don't have to be isolated in just one subject. You get to see different fields. For me, academically, what stood out was just the one-on-ones that I could have with my professors. And if I had any troubles or questions, they were there for me. I know Tammy Stuber from Quest helped me a lot with resume writing. And Quest is great for students to go, whether they're looking for internships or any help academically. I don't know if you guys have experiences with Quest that.
Yeah. Do you work in Quest?
No.
No, not anymore. Okay. So Quest stands for Question, Understand, Explore, Seek, and Transform. It is an office on campus that really encompasses a lot. So they have different opportunities for first-year students, and they help with that transition and ease you into college life. And then they also have, as Hudson was referring to, the career development aspect of it. So they help you with resume writing and cover letters and essentially searching for that job once you're ready to graduate. As well as internships and other opportunities on campus and in the community while you're at Juniata. They also, Quest runs the accessibility services, so if you need test-taking accommodations and other things like that in the classroom, as well as tutoring services. Tutoring services are free for students, but it's also a paid job on campus, so that's a great resource that they're able to provide. So yeah, Quest is a huge aspect of academic support here at Juniata. And my favorite probably academic piece, I guess, is the when you come to Juniata, you're assigned one faculty mentor and one advisor. So your advisor is within whatever department that you think you maybe want to study in, or area of study, sciences, humanities, as vaguely as that. And then you have your mentor, which is in like a random department. It can be a faculty or staff member on campus. And both of them kind of help take you through your journey at Juniata. So they will help you with not only academics and scheduling classes each semester, but also just they're that person that is assigned to you that will check in with you periodically throughout the semester and make sure you're doing okay mentally and socially, and kind of just keep track with you. And you do have the flexibility to change them and pick your own as you get to know more people on campus, but you are assigned two right when you get here. So it's just great to have those resources all throughout your 4 years.
Yeah, building off of that, what Madison said about the mentors. When I came in freshman year, I was able to do research because my mentor knew me so well, and just because I made that close connection with her. So I started doing research my freshman year, and because of that, I was able to go to several conferences. I went to national conferences and also international conferences throughout my time here. So it's been a really valuable experience.
I also did research because of my advisor freshman year. She knew that I was interested in learning psychology and offered me an opportunity to help her with research after my freshman year.
Yeah, just to speak on the advisor piece, I'm a first-generation college student, so I came in knowing that I wanted to study business, but not exactly what to study. And through the alumni connection, as well as my advisors, they gave astounding study accounting because it's so versatile. You can go into public or private accounting, and it's a good degree to have. So having confidence in what I was studying through the advisors that I had was a great compliment to have here at Juniata.
Hearing internships, hearing experiences that go outside the classroom. I know the part of the lived Juniata experience is not just learning your major, but living your major, rolling your sleeves up and just engaging yourself, immersing yourself in your academic course of study. Let's highlight that a little bit. Study abroad opportunities. While numerous students at Juniata College have the opportunities to pursue domestic experience, but also international experience as well. Some of you have had that opportunity. Madison, why don't you lead us off? Abroad experiences, but then also internships. Let's go a little bit deeper on that.
Yeah, so I've studied abroad twice at Juniata. Both of them were short-term trips. So at Juniata, we have options for short-term and long-term study abroad experiences. So the short-term are anything from 10 to 21 days. And the longer term ones are a semester or a year abroad. So I did actually studied abroad on both trips with McKinley. Our first trip was after freshman year to Germany. We studied communications in Germany. Our second trip was we went to West Africa. We studied in the Gambia for 3 weeks. And then we were supposed to go to Ireland this spring, but unfortunately that trip was canceled. And so there's lots of study abroad experience. So the way that the short-term trips work is you take a class throughout the semester prior to you going. So you either go over winter break. We have a exceptionally long winter break for those study abroad opportunities. And then or you go in the spring right after commencement. So you take a class throughout the semester preparing you for that trip, learning about the culture that you're going to be immersed in, and then you study abroad for X amount of time wherever you're going to be going. So it always has an academic focus, and it's never limited to the academic department that you're going to be studying while you're there, but that will be the focus. So I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the short-term trips. I like to stay home, obviously going to school here, but being able to get out and go away for just like 2 weeks, I really enjoyed that. And also coming to Juniata, I got to study more abroad than just like once. So I feel like if I would go to a different school, like a state school, I'd only have the opportunity maybe once or not at all. Where here at Juniata, I almost had the opportunity to study abroad 3 times. So find that really awesome that students can go abroad many times.
Yeah, so a lot of students, over 50% of our students do study abroad at Juniata at one point or another, so it is an incredibly popular thing to do here. So like McKinley said, I think my hesitation with doing a long-term trip was just all of the things that I have going on here in the community. I have my own nonprofit that I run throughout the year, and so leaving that for more than a few weeks was going to be really hard to do, but those short-term trips gave me the flexibility to still get that abroad experience and be immersed in other cultures and countries around the world without having to pick up and leave for half of a year or a full year.
We also have other study abroad opportunities that students can take part in for a semester or a year. I'm an international student, so I didn't feel the need to study abroad, even though I could have, but I tried to graduate in 3 years, so that wasn't feasible for my interest. But students can study abroad for a semester or a year, and you get put into specific programs depending on what you're studying. So your faculty advisor and mentor will help you with that and make sure that if you want to study abroad, then you will study abroad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have not studied abroad, but everyone that I've talked to, whether it be short-term or long-term, have spoken very, very highly of it. I didn't study abroad due to financial reasons, but I do regret that I didn't study abroad because everyone has spoken highly of it and told me about their great experiences.
And you've had an internship experience, right?
I have.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Share a little bit more about that.
So I had an internship the previous summer with Sheets at their headquarters, and it was actually a very certain kind of interesting scenario. I got to work 2 days in Altoona and 2 days in Claysburg, and each day was different. And I got that through actually a teammate slash friend who worked there previous and put in a good word for me. And that internship experience translated into the classroom. It was good for the resume. I learned very valuable skills in it. And for Sheets, I was a finance slash accounting intern. And that helped me actually just accept a position with Deloitte that I'll start in September of this year.
Congratulations.
So, thank you.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yes.
So with that, then why don't we go a little bit more into campus life? I know students that visit the campus along with academic course of study, balancing that with campus life, cultural experience, getting involved on campus. Students I know that I have a chance to meet with and parents will ask, will I meet friends? How do I get involved? So let's talk a little bit about campus life.
Yes, absolutely. Meet new friends that you'll be the best of friends with for the rest of your life. I came in for football, and I hurt my back my freshman year and re-injured it sophomore year, and it was kind of a blessing in disguise. I got more involved on campus I started back up the poker club. I'm part of Caring for Kids with Cancer, and also with the Juniata Brewing Club. So we always have Lobster Fest each year, and that's where you can come, enjoy a meal, and there's plenty of student-run organizations that you can sign up for and get involved with, and I think that's a great way to meet people on campus and share your common interests. We also have...
We should touch on Student Alumni Association.
Yes. I'm a Student Alumni Executive member, and that is probably I value as the most important organization because you get to reach out to alums when they come back and just stay in contact with them, and they can help with internships or job placement. So yes, I think that is a very valuable committee. But what I was going to say is Eagles After Dark.
Yeah, we also have Eagles After Dark, which is like an alternative every weekend if you don't want to go out with friends or anything else on campus. You can JAB, our Juniata Activities Board. They run all kinds of events on campus all throughout the year. So they present Eagles After Dark. So it's something every Friday and Saturday night from like 9 to 12. And it's anything from like laser tag across campus. They bring in comedians and musicians and all kinds of things just for students to stay busy. Anything else on?
Yeah, like a couple weeks ago before spring break, they had like a Japanese drumming group that came in. It was really cool. So they have all kinds of international and also local bands and like groups that come in and do different stuff. So they had like ballet groups that came in, and it's really cool. We have more than 100 registered student organizations. I'm part of the approvals board, and we so there's literally all kinds of clubs that you can join on campus, and they have activities that they have throughout the week. We have a climbing club that goes to like different rocks and stuff, and a yoga club that has like, they meet every week and do like yoga. So there's always something to do on campus.
And Hudson touched on Lobster Fest, which is during that experience, all of those 100 plus clubs and organizations are present. Students early on in the fall semester have that opportunity to connect with members from each club, and that is where the ability to get involved organically just unfolds. While enjoying lobster or steak. But speaking of Lobster Fest, one of our traditions, and we've got to talk about our traditions, which are just part of the fabric of Juniata College and the culture that makes it. So we'll talk a little bit about our traditions. Madrigals, Mountain Day. Let's hear a little bit about those experiences.
Yes. So I'll start with my favorite tradition, which I think is storming of the arch. So our rugby team, men and women, both line up at center of the campus to defend this arch, and it usually starts with freshmen that take a stab at trying to run through them and get through the arch, and it's just ecstatic to watch them run against our rugby team. I think it's funny. I think it's fun. It's a great way to bring people together, and just to watch how things unfold each year are very interesting. So I didn't know if anyone wanted to say their favorite traditions.
Yeah, my favorite tradition would probably be Madrigal. So Madrigal is just like a big dance that we have at the school, and so you eat dinner in Baker, which is our dining hall, and then you go over to the gym and you just go dance there with friends. And so at the dinner, normally Kickline, which is a dance club that we have on campus, they perform during it, and then at the end of the dinner we all sing Christmas carols together, so it's a good time. And then everybody normally just heads over to the gym then and dances and has a good time.
And also during the dinner, a unique experience is that we have the faculty or professors, staff, they come out and give us our meals, fill up our water. So that's a great way to connect with them a little outside of the classroom.
Yeah, I think I love Mountain Day.
The other one.
So Mountain Day is every fall. We have no idea when it's going to be every year. That's the fun in it. So Mountain Day, it was originated forever ago. I don't know the year, but it was when there was like a smallpox epidemic on campus. And all students had to leave, and they went out and did things in the mountains, and so it still exists today, but we have no idea when it's going to be. So I think it's actually our Juniata Activities Board that helps plan the day, but it's a random day throughout the fall. None of the students know when it is, so they wake us up at like 4 or 5 in the morning, say it's Mountain Day, classes are canceled, everything across campus is canceled, and everybody goes out to the lake for the entire day. There's live music, inflatables, you can go kayaking and canoeing, and do all different things, and it's just a day off of school, super fun that you have no idea when it's going to be. So it's something that you always look forward to in the fall semester. But I love it because faculty and staff and students all go out and just enjoy a day at the lake, and it's just so carefree and fun to be at. And so Raystown, I guess I should touch on. Raystown is a 26-mile man-made lake that's about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on where you go from campus. So that we have lots of activities held out there and opportunities out there. We have the field station, which is an incredible opportunity, especially for like our environmental science students. Our field station is a on-site location at the lake that Juniata owns, and it houses 14 students, so you can study abroad, study out at the lake for an entire semester. They rotate topics throughout the year, or every year. So one year it may be aquatics, and then wildlife, and things throughout the 4 years. So you can do it more than once, but you live out there and do research for an entire semester. You live out on the lake, but there's also all kinds of different things that Juniata does out of the lake periodically.
Yeah, so I loved all the 3 traditions. I think this is something unique to Juniata because I've never heard of like these traditions in other colleges. That's one of the things that I was really excited about when I first came to Juniata. So freshman year, I played for the rugby team, and I was able to both run through the arch and also defend the arch, which was really fun. And then Mountain Day, I had an exam during that day, and I was able to I didn't have the exam because we had Mountain Day, and I was so happy.
Yes.
So I have memories for all the traditions. Also for Madrigal, before Madrigal, we have this, we tent for a week, and that decides who gets the best table for the dinner. So I've gone through Madrigal all the 3 years that I've been here, and it's been a really fun experience. Some of the other things that we have is Mr. Juniata, which is like a male beauty pageant that we have. It's like a fundraiser, and it's a lot of fun. So we have a lot of things that we do to build community and keep close, and
Yeah, she mentioned tenting. Tenting leads up to Madrigal, so you don't have to tent by any means, but it's something fun that McKinley and I and a group of friends did it for the first time this year. You sleep in a tent for an entire week leading up to Madrigal in November. and so but they wake you up every hour of the night, and you do scavenger hunts and lip sync battles and just crazy activities to gain points to get the best table at Madrigal and to sing different lyrics to different Christmas carols. And it sounds really crazy, but it's one of the most fun things I've done here at Juniata. So it's just, again, a really memorable experience.
I got to chime in because as a staff member, faculty staff also get to experience these events. It's just part of our lived Juniata experience, and that my family and I live half a mile up the road. So to be able to take in our sporting events, which my 7-year-old son loves, Juniata football, Juniata volleyball, having the opportunity to attend Lobster Fest, where the chemistry club actually brought my son through a chemistry experiment, to having students up at our house. And for my wife and I, when we want to go on a date night, Madison has saved us a little bit by hanging out with my 7-year-old and 2-year-old little girl, as has your sister, Natalie, as well. So this is just part of our lived experience. And I've loved taking in dinners sponsored by our international clubs, and then also wonderful events, speakers, and events that are sponsored by our Equity, Diversity, and Inclusive Excellence Office as well. Because from a multicultural standpoint, Juniata is just such a vibrant community. And speaking of community, to wrap up, let's touch on Huntingdon. And Todd, I want to talk with you about this. Actually have you lead us off. I mean, in the United States alone, over 4,400 colleges and universities, and globally, so much more. Yeah. Why Juniata? You coming from India, and then more specifically, why come to Huntington, Pennsylvania to pursue your college education? So take us away.
Yeah, so I always knew I wanted to study abroad. I didn't know where, but I knew I wanted to study abroad. And some of the places that narrowed down to was the United States because it has the best education. But I looked at, I had high school counselors that helped me narrow down colleges and stuff. And they told me about Juniata and how they read about it in the colleges, in the book that says the colleges that changes lives. And I did more research and I looked at stuff and I applied to Juniata. But after applying, the kind of response that I got so many emails from people. Everyone wanted to know me and wanted me to come here. I felt like people actually cared about me. So that's one of the reasons why I chose Juniata. I also looked at the unique program of emphasis that we have here and how you can combine different classes to make your own major that you want to study, basically. And I didn't know what I wanted to study when I first came in. So this seemed like the perfect place to come. And also the outdoors. I'm from Mumbai, which is a big metropolitan city in India, kind of like New York here. And so this was a completely different thing that I wanted to experience in my life because I don't know when again I'm going to be in a place like this again. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll chime in. I was the complete opposite. So I'm from Huntington, and I wanted to move farther away for college. But yeah, when I stepped on campus and I talked with the coaches because I wanted to continue playing football. I just felt a sense of community outside of the Huntington community that Juniata offered, and everyone was caring, and I kind of just knew in my heart that this was the place for me, that I could get help along the way, that I wasn't just a number, that I would be someone that could stand out and learn along the way, better than going to any a bigger state school or something. So
yeah, so I've lived in Huntington my whole life as well, but Juniata was never an option in my head until probably my senior year of high school. I always wanted to go to Penn State, the big state school. I just grew up loving Penn State and going there all the time, and that's what I thought. But then as the decision day came closer and closer, I was like, I don't know if I can go to such a big school. And I loved how Juniata was such a small community and everybody was so close, and most of the people on campus, which is great. And Juniata also gave me so many more opportunities to do as well. So I am a cheerleader, I dance, I'm involved in different clubs, I work on campus. So it's nice that I have all these opportunities and can do so many things on this campus that I probably wouldn't be able to do at a larger state school. So Huntington is just a good community to live in as well. I've lived here my whole life, and I feel like the community really helps with the college as well. We both support each other in both ways.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat as McKinley. I did not ever think about Juniata. I did not grow up here. I moved here during high school. So I didn't, I guess, grow up around Juniata. I was, of course, familiar with it in high school, but I thought for sure that I wanted to get away. I looked at probably 15 different schools, really hoping that I would just fall in love with one, and I didn't. And I kept coming back to Juniata. I found myself on every tour on another campus, thinking oh, but they don't have this that Juniata has. It was often the POU program or the two advisor system, or something unique, or the traditions, or something that always stood out about Juniata that I kept coming back to. And so it was just that feeling, I guess, that Juniata had. I also, because this was, I guess, a prior community, maybe that was my connection to it already, but I love the Huntington community. I do a lot of work within the community. As I said, I have my own nonprofit, and so I do a ton of community work. We also, Juniata really values community engaged learning, which I am a huge advocate for. We passed a new curriculum in the midst of all of our 4 years here that then implemented a community engaged learning component, which I was so ecstatic about. So students now have a slight requirement to take community engaged learning courses, which are not only the focus on community, but it's real life work. And so I took a class, for example, last semester that we had a community partner. We partnered with our local backpack program, which sends food home with students on the weekends. And so my group communication class did marketing for them. We raised money. And all of this was learning strategic communication and like team building and things like that in a class. But we were also benefiting a community partner and learning more about the Huntington community. So for those students, international students and students that aren't from around here, it was a great way to introduce them to where they're living and these organizations that are surrounding them. So we have lots of opportunities, local businesses and whatnot that our classes partner with. I took a class in our local prison, our maximum security prison. We have inside out courses here at Juniata. So there's tons of community opportunities.
Excellent. One of another favorite experience of mine that's community related, but you had a big part in Madison on Martin Luther King Day, Day of Service. Touch a little bit about that if you don't mind.
Yeah, so we had the Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service. We also had the 9/11 Day of Service and Remembrance. So two of the most important days of the year that often schools have off throughout the year, but we kind of not necessarily celebrate, but we kind of recognize and remember through a day of service. So on both of those days throughout the year, our community engaged learning office works hard to prepare. We get community partners and all students and faculty then go to different locations in our community and do a day of service, whether that be students this year were organizing a local friend closet. I painted our local community center. Students were chipping ice and different things for our borough. There were lots of different, so you get paired with a community partner, but again, it's just a way to get immersed throughout the community. Locally.
Excellent.
Yeah, group helped a church with a sound system.
Yeah,
so they could get it. There's a tons of ways to give back to the community, and that was just two through the 9/11 and the MLK Day of Service.
Yeah, I think it's great hearing your experiences. I think a unique piece of what makes Juniata so special is, one, we're the only college in Huntington. And therefore, unlike a metropolitan area, you have these high impact experiences that students, as I'm listening to you, can engage in, and you're not competing for those experiences with other colleges and universities and the students that are also looking at those experiences. But on the other hand, internship experiences, we're close in proximity, 3 hours max to some metropolitan areas, from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., 3.5 hours to New York City. And we have a rail line that comes right through Huntington that connects to Pittsburgh. You can go from Pittsburgh to Chicago, or you could head east, past Harrisburg, Philadelphia, up to New York. And students jump on this rail line, and if they want to just have a day out and a day in the city, they can do it. Or again, they're able to academically engage in some of these high impact experiences and internship opportunities. And not to mention, you're not cut off from the globe. Your abroad experiences and us having Tani here from India. So really, it's Juniata has the best of both worlds for students that are seeking a rural or an urban experience. So. Well, to conclude, I'm so grateful that in this time right now, while our students, all of you, are going to be shifting to remote learning, as many colleges and universities are. And Tani, I assume you're headed home, right? Okay, when do you leave?
I leave on Saturday.
Okay, and thrilled to hear that. And students and parents who are tuning in, if honestly, when the opportunity comes up, when our visits resume, you have to come and see us. Take a campus tour. You're going to see beyond wonderful students from Huntington and India. 60% of our students are from Pennsylvania, and 40% of our enrollment are from other domestic locations around the country and around the globe. So you'll get to truly have an opportunity to see the magic that is the culture of Juniata College. Parting advice, students, why don't you think about one piece of advice you'd like to give our prospective students who are navigating their college search, and then we'll let you get ready to prepare for remote learning. So, Tani, why don't you kick us off?
So one advice that I would like to give is just to be open-minded and just take all the opportunities that come through your way, because you never know what it's going to lead you to. So yeah, just experience what comes through your way and take advantage of all of it. Yeah.
Trying to think of something less cliche than my follow your heart bit, but I think honestly there's no better, I guess, way of putting it. That's, I think, what a lot of students would say here at Juniata is it's kind of just a gut feeling when you step on that campus, or it's kind of what you keep going back to. Like I said, I take advantage, if a piece of advice would be, take advantage of, like Tanvi said, like, do the opportunities, go to all the tours, do overnights. That's an essential piece of, I think, choosing a college, is kind of really getting immersed in that experience. Talk to current students, take advantage to all of the opportunities that these enrollment offices present to you to get that full experience. But I think ultimately it's just going to come down to the numbers isn't the thing that matters the most. It's kind of just where you feel at home and what's the right fit for you.
Yes, and to chime with that, here at Juniata, it was the people that stood out the most. And my advice would just never take a day for granted while you're on campus. And to add on that, to always just to reach out to alums, because they're willing to help. And I'm a big advocate for that through internship and job placement. So go to career development or the alumni office and get emails, contact alums through LinkedIn, and they'll help you get to where you need to be.
Yeah, be flexible, and again, just be open-minded and be willing to change what you came in or what you think you want to do, and be willing to take different classes or just try different things and have fun.
Excellent. Well, you heard it from the best, and if you want to go and learn a little bit more, I advise you to check out our site that has a number of Juniata stories and our traditions, think.juniata.edu. Please check that out. I think it's promoted on the page that invited you into the open house experience. So thank you, viewers, for tuning in. While we really wished we had you here on campus, definitely glad you've had the opportunity, though, to hear from our students and through the other presentations that you're viewing, faculty, staff. But once visits resume, we hope you'll have the opportunity to come and see us. So take care. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you on campus. Thanks so much.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying our virtual open house today. My name is Stephen Simons. I am the Senior Associate Dean of Admission here at Juniata College. And for this session, I'm just going to walk you through some of the nuts and bolts of applying to Juniata, what we're looking for in an applicant, as well as a little bit about our financial aid process. So first things first, as you can see on the screen here, we have some deadlines that you need to be aware of. The fall is quite a few months away, but it's never too early to start planning. So first thing you need to know about applying to Juniata is that we make it very, very easy. First and foremost, we're on the Common Application or the Coalition. Both applications are completely free, so there's no application fee, and it's one application for a bunch of different schools. So if you're already going to be doing the Common App and if you're already going to be doing the Coalition app, there's really no excuse not to apply to Juniata College. So we make applying very, very easy on you, like I already said, with the Common App and with the Coalition, but we're also test optional. So if you're not a very strong standardized test taker, you didn't do so well on the SAT or the ACT, that's okay. You don't have to submit those. We also don't have a supplemental essay. So what does that mean? So the Common App and the Coalition both have an application essay that you have to submit. And some schools will require you to do an extra essay or a set of short answer questions. Juniata doesn't do that. So in summary, no application fee, we're test optional, and we have no supplemental essay. And then if you see these deadlines here, this is when things can start to get a little bit confusing. First and foremost, we have an early decision deadline, which is November 15th. Normally, if you were here in person, I would say to you, after your visit, if you leave here today and you have absolutely fallen in love with Juniata and you can't see yourself anywhere else, then the November 15th deadline is the one for you. However, this may not be the case, so I encourage you to come back and visit, or maybe you love what we said here so much today that you're ready to commit. If you're not ready to commit, but you feel that it's highly likely Juniata is going to be on your list of likely schools that you're going to apply to, I would aim for that early action deadline of December 1st, and if you can't make that one, aim for January 5th. If you are someone who isn't ready to apply early, if you want to prioritize other schools, that's totally fine. That's why we have our regular decision deadline of March 15th. Now, if you were going to go to our application website right now, you would see that that deadline is April 3rd. That's only because this year we have some obviously unforeseen circumstances that have required us to push our deadline. But in your case, that March 15th deadline is the final deadline. There's no reason to apply early other than your own sanity. If you feel you're ready to apply, if you want to hear back earlier, then I would recommend that. But it doesn't make any difference for merit scholarships. It doesn't increase your likelihood of being admitted. So really try and go at your own pace and do what's best for you. Some other deadlines on here that are important. If you feel that you are going to be applying for need-based aid, you'll fill out the FAFSA, which I'll talk a little bit about later. That goes live October 1st. Earlier you submit that in, the earlier you will get a financial aid package. We recommend that you try and have all of that stuff done by November 15th. There's no real reason to wait. You might as well get it done early. So that's the application process. In terms of what we're looking for in an applicant, first and foremost, we are really looking for students who are going to be successful here. We want to make sure that you're going to graduate from Juniata. So how do we do that? Well, first thing we look at is that high school or college transcript. I want to see the type of classes that you're taking. I want to see that you're challenging yourselves, and I want to see good grades. So junior year, senior year, if you have the opportunity to increase that rigor, to take more honors classes, more AP classes, more IB classes, more dual enrollment, you should absolutely do that. Improvement is really key too. If you were anything like me, maybe freshman year didn't go so well, and even sophomore year, but the better you do each year, the more that stands out in the application. So don't worry if freshman year wasn't so great. Your junior year and your senior year are ultimately the most important. On the previous slide, I already talked a little bit about test optional and what that means. I always say at Juniata College, we have a complicated relationship with standardized test scores. So what does that mean? If you're a good test taker and you do well on the test, that can be a good indication of future success. So I encourage you to submit those test scores. However, if you're not a good standardized test taker and you feel that you're stronger in the classroom, then you do not have to submit those. All that means is we're going to take a harder look at your high school transcript, other parts of your application, and dig into those a little bit deeper. Again, there's no downside to applying test optional. We're not going to take away scholarships. We're not going to decrease your chance of getting in. It's totally up to you, and we can help you decide if you want to apply test optional. You can talk to your admission counselor, and they can make that determination for you. We also want to know who you are as people. We want to know how Juniata can help you, but we also want to know what you can contribute to us. So there's a few ways you can do that. Through the essay, that is really our chance to get to know you as individuals. That's kind of a window into who you are. We also want to know what others say about you. So letters of recommendation, we typically recommend you submit 1 to 3 of those. One has to be from an academic reference, like a guidance counselor or a teacher. But if you have a coach, a community member, if you're involved with volunteering, that you would like to submit that letter of rec, that's absolutely okay as well. Also, there are parts on your application where you can say what activities you're a part of, what awards you've won, things like that. You can put that in there, and we want to see what you've been dedicated to. I always recommend students put a lid on their application. It's a little bit cheesy, but it stands for leadership, improvement, and dedication. If you can demonstrate those 3 things, you're in good shape. It doesn't mean necessarily you're captain of the football team, but if there's a time that you stepped up, if your grades were on an upward trend, and finally with dedication, the things that you've been involved with consistently, that's what really stands out. So those are kind of the things that we're looking for. You are more than just numbers. I'm sure you're going to hear that from a lot of schools. It can sound a little bit cliche, but certainly here at Juniata, we're a small school, we're a small campus, and everybody's presence is felt. All right. Now, I just said that about who you are as people, and then the very next slide I have on here are statistics. And I put that on there because I know that's typically the very first question that gets asked. What GPA do I need to have? What test scores do I need to have? This will give you a sense of what our students come in with. Again, these are just averages. There are students that are above that. There are students below that. But it can give you kind of a ballpark. Again, sometimes GPAs, test scores don't paint a full picture, and that's why we do a holistic review and we look at the things I just talked about, the essay, letters of recommendation, activities, etc. So take this with a grain of salt, but I know that's like the first question I'm gonna get asked, so that's why I put it on there. All right, so that's the admissions process. So now I'm gonna move on to financial aid. So here at Juniata, just like applying to Juniata is very easy, we make applying for financial aid very easy as well. First thing that happens, you submit your application to Juniata, and if you are accepted, you get a merit scholarship. Now these range from $22,000 to $30,000 a year. They're guaranteed for all 4 years, and they have absolutely nothing to do with the family income. So it's all about what you've accomplished in high school, grades, test scores, quality of your curriculum, things you do outside the classroom, etc. So that's a great way right off the bat to kind of decrease that overall cost that might deter you a little bit. And then finally, if you're interested in applying for financial aid, like I mentioned earlier, you'd submit that FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. We are very committed to making Juniata affordable for you. So as you can see, 98% of our students who are attending Juniata have merit or financial aid, and on average, we meet 94% of demonstrated need. So that means if your family needs a certain amount to afford college, Juniata does a really good job of meeting most of that need. Fundamentally, we will partner with your family to make this an affordable option. That means if you're accepted and it doesn't seem like it's gonna work, we'd like to hear from you. We'd like to maybe talk you through the FAFSA. We'd like to help you understand payment options, what outside scholarships you can apply for. Paying for college can be intimidating. It can be very daunting to try and figure all the things out that you need to. But fundamentally, we're here to help you. So you'll see on this slide here, and you can also find it online, the information for our financial planning office. Feel free to email them, give them a call, and they're happy to help you. Also, every school in the country has to have a net price calculator on their website. That means you can go on and you can get a general sense of what you might have to pay for. At Juniata, take that, and with most of the schools you're applying to, with a grain of salt. The net price calculator can't always capture your full picture, but it's a good way to start. And finally, I would just recommend you apply early and often for any outside scholarships. Cool thing that Juniata does is we do what's called stacking. So any outside scholarships you bring in, we just add that on top of the financial aid award. We don't take anything away from you. And so there's no reason not to go out and apply for as many outside scholarships as you can. And the last thing I'll say is that what you see is what you get. When you're a freshman and you're applying to Juniata and you enroll, that financial aid award that you get your freshman year, that's good for all 4 years. We're never gonna take the rug out from under you and change that aid award and reduce the amount of aid you're given unless your family income drastically changes. So parents, it's a really helpful way to know that you can prepare truly for what a 4-year cost of education will be. And we also have a 4-year graduation guarantee. So there's no surprise 5th year that you have to pay for, summer semesters, extra classes. So that is a really, really nice way for you to be able to plan. So that concludes my session today. If you have any questions, feel free to let us know. Thank you.
So you've literally been in our shoes. You've walked our campus, you've spent hours in the classroom. What would you want to tell your undergraduate self? It's clear that you love Juniata. It's clear that you grew a lot.
I'd like to tell my undergraduate self what is written on your shirt. Somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known. Isn't that great? Okay, so let me tell you a story. When I was, maybe a junior here, they invited somebody to give a colloquium. This guy talked about general relativity and astrophysics and stuff like that. He had gotten his degree at Princeton, which is known for that kind of stuff. And afterwards, as often happens with visitors like that, he talked to some of the students. And we asked him about things like going to graduate school. So I said, well, I'd read that Princeton had the best graduate program in the United States, and so I thought I would like to go to Princeton. And he said, a student from Juniata can't get into Princeton. Well, I applied to Princeton. I applied to Caltech. I applied to Stanford and MIT and Harvard, and I got into all of them. And I went to Princeton to visit and found out that I didn't like it. I didn't like the feel of Princeton. So I called up the guy who became my thesis advisor at MIT from the lobby of the Princeton Physics Building and asked if I could come and visit him. And he said yes, and I went there, and it was so wonderful to have Dan Kleppner as my thesis advisor. So, okay, so that's not exactly advice, but it's a story. Don't let anybody sell you short. Okay, especially if you're a Juniatian, because we can do anything, as you well know.